Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Avani Ratan and I welcome you all today on a lecture on social perception. So I would like to start with you imagining this, that you walk into a cafe and you feel uneasy about the man sitting alone in the corner. He hasn't even said a word yet, but something about his stillness and intense gaze makes you instinctively want to leave. What just happened here? That's social perception at work. Your brain reading non-verbal cues in milliseconds to make snap judgments and possibly keeping you alive. So, to start with, what is the definition of social perception? Social perception is the process through which we seek to understand other people. Here, we are looking at our understanding towards other people. It's one of the most fundamental aspects of human interaction. We constantly try to read others to understand their emotions, their intentions, and their personality traits. So that's how we could define social perception. Now, why is social perception even important? So, first, social perception is important because it is effective for social interaction, right? We require social perception for social interaction. It is also essential because it helps us predict other people's behavior, predicts others' behavior. It allows us to build meaningful relationships. Then it is critical for survival and success in the social environments. Now, what are the challenges that we come across when we talk about social perception? The key challenge is the deception problem. So, what do we mean by that? So, people, they often try to conceal their true feelings, they try to conceal their motives, they also try to conceal their intentions. So, what are the famous examples here is one is Frank Abagnale Jr., where he successfully impersonated a pilot, a doctor, and a lawyer. We could also look at political figures who often hide their true positions or knowledge, right? So, political figures are also included here. We can also think of corporate scandals because companies they deliberately mislead the public. So that is the major problem over here. Now, non-verbal communication. So the silent language of psychology is the non-verbal communication. You know that your face is always leaking information all the time, even when you think that you're neutral. So our emotions, they have a way of escaping, especially through micro expressions, right? So non-verbal communication is the information that is conveyed through cues other than the spoken words, right? So we are here looking at cues other than spoken words. These include facial expressions, they include body language, they include eye contact and vocal tone. So these cues are often irrepressible, they are difficult to control. So emotions tend to leak out even when people try to hide them. Now, what are the basic ways of nonverbal communication? The first is the facial expression, which is clues to others' emotions, right? The five basic kind of emotion which are universal are, I gave you an idea about it, anger, then it is fear, it's happiness, sadness, and disgust. But how do we look at it in a non-verbal manner? Anger can be seen as furrowed brows, right? Tight lips. So that is how we look at anger through a non-verbal manner. How is fear as per the non-verbal communication? Wide eyes, right? Or maybe raised eyebrows. How can we see happiness through a non-verbal cue? Is a genuine smile which involves your eyes, right? Sadness, maybe a downturned mouth or drooping eyelid. How do we see disgust? A wrinkled nose or a raised upper lip? Now, why did I write all of this down? Because that would greatly help you in your mental status examination if you plan to pursue your MPhil, right? Okay, so I want you to pause this video and record yourself expressing happiness and disgust. Now you replay. Can you tell the difference clearly? Well, the facial muscles, they don't lie. So if I give you an example, I don't know how many of you have heard about the Botox study. So people who had Botox, they showed less emotional reactivity. Why? Because their faces couldn't move to send the feedback to their brain. Your face doesn't just show emotion, your face also creates it, right? So these expressions are recognized across the cultures, though with varying accuracies. Happiness is the most universally recognized. Fear is often confused with surprise. People are better at recognizing expressions from their own cultural group. There are also some individual differences. So, some people are naturally better at reading faces. They have an ability to express emotions clearly, and this doesn't really correlate with the ability to read others. They have intentional emotional expression, which is linked to better recognition skills. Now, we will also talk about eye contact as a nonverbal cue. So, the first thing is a positive eye contact. So, here we are going to study about positive eye contact. What do we mean by that? Is a high level of gazing. We look at your gaze, right? What does that indicate? It's a sign of likeness. It is a sign of friendliness, right? It shows attention, it shows your interest, it builds the connection, and it builds some sort of trust. But then there is a negative sort of eye contact, which is you're staring. So it is perceived as aggressive, or it is perceived as hostile, or you are avoiding eye contact completely. So avoiding eye contact means you're unfriendly, maybe, or it could mean some sort of discomfort or maybe shyness. And it could also trigger the fight or flight responses. So the road rage experts, they recommend avoiding prolonged eye contact with aggressive drivers. Why? Because it may be interpreted as confrontational. Okay. Now, body language, your gestures, your posture, your movement. So what body language reveals? One, the first is the frequent movements. So what do they mean? They mean fidgeting, touching, scratching. That means emotional arousal or nervousness. Then posture changes. What do we mean by that? If you have shifting emotional states, you will keep on changing your posture more frequently. Okay, then there are emblems. So these are culture specific gestures with very, very clear meanings. Culture specific gestures with clear meanings. So here gestures have different meanings across cultures, right? So a thumbs up means great in the US, but up yours in some Middle Eastern countries, right? And okay sign means money in Japan. It means zero in France, and it is offensive in Brazil. Coming to touching, what it tells us about people. So what are the factors which affect the touch interpretation? So now the very first factor is who is touching, right? Is it a friend? Is it a stranger? Is it a male? Is it a female? Then what is the type of contact? Is it brief? Is it prolonged? Is it gentle? Is it rough? What is the body area that has been touched? Right? And what is the context? Is it a business context? Is it a social setting? Is it a private setting? The context also here matters. Now, if we talk about a handshake, a firmer, longer handshake has higher ratings for extroversion and openness. It creates more favorable first impressions, and it is considered acceptable across many, many cultures. Okay, let us now move to the non-verbal cues in social life. First is the paralanguage. How do we speak? So it includes a tone, it will include pitch, it will include volume and rhythm. So the how of speech rather than the what. So the non-verbal vocal cues such as screaming, laughing, crying, they're often more accurate indicators of true emotions than the actual words spoken, right? Okay. So research shows that people in love, they display distinctive non-verbal cues. So there is more frequent smiling, there is head nodding, there is leaning towards each other, then there are positive gestures of reaching out. So these behaviors, they occur regardless